All right. Hello, good morning, everyone. I am Jeremias de Guzman, and today I will be discussing with you Presidential Decree number 1006, which is also known as the Decree Professionalizing Teaching, and also the Republic Act 10912, which is also known as the Continuous Professional Development Act. Okay, but before I proceed to my main discussion, to the discussion of these two topics, let's have some recall lang, of what uh, presidential decree is. What presidential decrees really are, no? So presidential decrees actually for this first question, our presidential decree still has power. So basically, presidential decrees no longer have legal force and effect in the Philippines. It was only during the time of the martial law or the Marcos regime, by the virtue of extraordinary legislative powers that is granted with the president during the time of martial law, the President Marcos had the constitutional authority to enact laws during the period of martial law. Hence, we have the presidential decrees. Similarly, proclamations in the Philippine government are also considered as presidential proclamations, yung mga ganon. These are also official declarations made by the president, and these proclamations fix a date or declare a status or conditions of public moment of interest. They serve as the basis for the operation of specific laws and regulation during that time of martial law. Why? Why wala na siyang power or legal authority? Actually, presidential decrees are already abolished during the 1987 Constitution when our democracy was re-established or once again revived. Presidential decrees were issued during the martial law regime during the time of President Marcos. After the People Power Revolution in 1986 and a new constitution, which is the 1987, which the 1987 constitution, when it was promulgated during the time of President Cory Aquino, it was declared that all the presidential decrees enacted or given during the Marcos era were considered automatically repealed. This means that presidential decrees lost all its legal validity and is no longer enforceable. Now, after the since the presidential decrees are and proclamations are now abolished, so it later eventually transitioned into republic acts. Ito na yung mga pumalit na mga batas from the presidential decrees. The current legal framework in the Philippines is now based again on the 1987 Constitution. We now call our laws as Republic Act and no longer presidential decrees. These are republics are passed by the legislative branch. So alam natin yan, no, with the three units of our government: the legislative, the judiciary, of course we have the executive the executive, and as passed by the RA. So again, ito yung pumalit na sa mga presidential decrees, and it now becomes the primary legal instrument of our country. Republic Act covers wide range of topics and have undergone thorough legislative process, including debates, committee hearings, and voting. So unlike sa presidential decrees before, which was only granted for the president, so parang wala masyadong hindi masyadong na-scrutinize, no, yung mga batas na yon, and that's why, ayun nga, compared to the Republic Act that we now have, so talagang mas napag-aaralan ng ating mga legislators ano ba yung mga provisions na kailangan nakapaloob sa mga batas bago siya mag-iisang batas talaga. Okay? Legal hierarchy. Let's talk about legal hierarchy. So basically, in terms of legal hierarchy, presidential decrees, RAs rather, the Republic Act takes precedence over presidential decrees. If there's any conflict between the two, of course, it is the Republic Act that prevails. Basically, presidential decrees are historical artifacts na lang from a specific period of our Philippine history. And as I said, Their legal authority ceased to exist after the restoration of democracy and from the promulgation of the 1987 Constitution. Republic Acts now govern the legal landscape in our country. The Constitution itself, as you all know, is the highest law. It is then followed by the Republic Acts, and then followed by executive orders, and then eventually the other legal instruments, mga batas na meron tayo. What about Batas Pambansa? Kasi we've also heard about it last meeting. So similar to presidential decrees, Batas Pambansa I also no longer have legal force or effect in the Philippines. However, it is worthy to note that although laws can evolve over time due to amendments, new legislations, and of course, may mga changes or changes in the government policies, the Education Act of 1982 or the Batas Pambansa 232 that was discussed by Sir Ryan Russell last time, and this presidential decree that I'll be discussing with you this morning, they still remain significant legal framework in the Philippines. So in a way, para sila naging prototype or naging sila yung pinaka naging foundation or basis of what we of the laws that we currently have for the education here in the Philippines. So let's now discuss Presidential Decree number 1006 or the decree professionalizing teaching. So what is this presidential decree? Prior to the declaration of 1006 in 1976, teacher educations basically it's not really formally recognized as a profession. Okay? Unlike yung mga nasa field ng medicine or yung pagdodoktor or pag-aabuga so hindi talaga siya formally recognized as a profession prior to 1976. But because of the Presidential Decree 1006, it was that was issued by President Marcos on September 22, 1976. This particular presidential decree aims to now recognize the teaching profession, the teaching practice to be recognized as a profession and to ensure that highest quality of teacher education, that there's a highest quality of teacher education is being provided in the country. Okay, during the time that this presidential decree was promulgated, the Department of Education and Culture, which DEX, had a supervisory function over educational institution, which focuses on instilling patriotism, citizenship duties, moral character, personal discipline, and vocational efficiency. So now let's ask, how does presidential decree define what teaching is? So according here, the presidential decree defined teacher as the profession that is primarily concerned with classroom instructions at the elementary and secondary level. So take note, no? So it only defined under those two level of study, which is elementary and secondary level. Teachers, whether in public or private schools, play the crucial role in imparting knowledge, instilling love for country, and developing moral character, personal discipline, and vocational efficiencies among students. In a way, para siyang, they're now professionalizing teaching because it's the teaching practice then is considered to be a significant part of nation building. So again, why was it necessary to professionalize teaching? Ba't ba kailangan natin i-professionalize itong teaching, ang pagtuturo? So according here, despite requiring several years of collegiate study, as I mentioned earlier, teaching is not really considered as a recognized profession during the time prior to 1976. Given the significant growth in the teaching population, which is dumadami na yung mga teacher, which is around 300,000 teachers nationwide, it became essential na kailangan ng i-regulate. There has to be a regulatory mechanism or system to ensure that the profession has maintain or sustain the qualitative requirements for during the teacher recruitment para sa mga teachers. Kasi dumadami na yung mga teachers. Again, as you said, the decree aimed to professionalize teaching, to regulate its practice, and of course, acknowledge the vital role of the teachers in nation building by raising their morale, yeah, and recognizing them as professionals. So, what is the role now of teachers in the nation building according to this presidential decree? So, according to it, teachers are considered as a potent forces for the development of proper attitudes among citizens. Their direct and continuing interaction with young people and children contributes significantly to shaping the nation's future. So that's where the teachers are given the recognition of how significant are they for the nation building. What is the significance of considering teaching as a profession? Ano bang impact or importansya nito? Bakit ang teaching ay when you consider teaching as a profession? As mentioned here, recognizing teaching raises the teacher's morale and emphasize their importance to society. Ini-elevate yung kanilang level of importance in our society and again in nation building in general. It also ensures that the qualitative standards are maintained during teacher requirement. In summary, Presidential Decree number 1006 aims to elevate teaching, to recognize profession, to emphasize quality education, and of course, to develop ethical standards for teachers in the Philippines. However, nasabi nga natin, over time nag-evolve ang law. While subsequent laws and regulations may have further shaped the educational landscape, Presidential Decrees 1006 provisions continue to influence teacher education and practice. Although it was mentioned earlier na presidential decrees no longer have legal authorities or effect or is no longer enforceable, it still, katulad ng Batas Pambansa 2232, it still influence the kind of teacher education and practice that we currently have. So, for us to better have a picture, no, paano nag-evolve yung presidential decree into the Republic Acts and ano ba yung mga naging counter uh, parang equivalent niya, no, during the 1987 Constitution. So here is a simple diagram of it. No? So from Presidential Decree 1006, of course, as I mentioned earlier, it laid the initial groundwork for professionalizing teaching. Diyan nabuo ang DEX, then nag-start na kailangan magkaroon ng examinations. After that, natapos ang Marcos regime, dumating ang 1987 Constitution, and then on 1994, RA 7836 was enacted, which is titled Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act. And again, it is based or built upon the Presidential Decree 1006. It refined and expanded the professionalization of teaching. And then eventually there is another Republic Act that was enacted, an act that amends certain sections of the earlier 7836. And based from this Republic Act, it further refined the regulation of professionalization, teaching profession or the professional teachers, as mentioned in the RA 7836. But for us to have the specific gist, no, of these evolutions no, sa batas, no? So in Presidential Decree 1006, although meron na talagang mga examination, however, hindi ganun kalinaw ano ba ang scope ng exam. Specifically, pagdating din sa mga teachers na nagtitake ng exam, parang hindi malinaw kasi hindi pa hiwalay or parehas pa lang din ang content yung binibigay for elementary teachers and for high school teachers. They took a written test, however, the specifics were not well defined yet. That is why pagdating ng 1987 Constitution, na enact ang RA 7836 noong 1994, It establishes the Board of Professional Teachers. It's a collegial body under the supervision of Philippine Regulatory Commission or PRC. They are the ones in charge in implementing the licensure examination. Sila yung gumagawa, nag-create ng exam over the year. So according to from what I've heard, no, so parang itong board of professional teachers, so they are composed of 5 members. So we have the chair and then apat na board members. And as far as I know, since they're part of the regulatory body or collegial body that governs the licensure exam, parang may mga certain ano sila, mga bawal sa kanila. If you're a member of the board of professional teachers, like they're not allowed to become members of certain professional groups or professional organization, no? And that is, I think, because of, to avoid yung mga conflicting interests, no? Dahil nga sila ang in charge sa paggawa ng licensure exam. So, there was a time in here in the Philippines, so parang medyo na-issue yung gano'n, no? Kung halimbawa isang board member siya ng isang professional group, then perhaps lahat ng pwedeng mag-member doon sa organization na yun, baka magkaroon sila ng from that board member na member. That is why they're not allowed to become members or part of any professional organization for teachers. For the RA 7836, so they also included Code of Ethics for professional teachers. Yun. Kasama siya sa 7836. Now, as after 7836, as I mentioned, so may nagkaroon pa ng Republic Act again, which is the RA 9293. And ano ba yung mga key points na pwede nating makita dito? Sabi dito, it further refined what was already contained in the RA 7836. And specifically, they further refined or elaborate pa ano yung mga certain standards, no, for or qualification requirement for a teacher. So according here, so that's when they specified na for element or for preschool teachers, it is required that they should have a bachelor's degree in childhood education or the BECED. For elementary grade teachers, of course, so we have now the bachelor degree in elementary education. And then for high school teacher, required na dapat ang course mo is BS Ed with your minor or major. And for those that are not graduates of education degree, kung halimbawa graduate ko ng Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science, at least dapat meron kang 18 units. No? However, I think I have shared this already to our previous classes before. Recently, nagkaroon ng issues sa PRC, specifically sa Board of Professional Teachers. Kasi may nilabas na memorandum dahil alam natin nagkaroon ng K-12, then in effect, ripple effect siya sa college, so nagkaroon din ng changes sa curriculum ng college. And in effect, so nagkaroon din ng changes with regards sa subject offering, and then eventually even sa qualification sa pag-take ng board exam. So ano ba yung issue na na-mention ko? Sinasabi doon sa Memorandum number 38, series of 2022 yata yon na PRC Board for Professional Teachers, aside from the 18 units na professional education courses, no? So nire-require lang ng parang 6 subject, at least meron kang 6 na subjects na Prof Ed para sa mga non-edu bachelor degree graduates. So aside from that, so they are also now being required to take up 60 units of majorship. Unlike, let's put some more context para mas maunawaan natin. So like before, let's say graduate ako ng Masscom, AD Communication, and then I took up certain units for professional education, for TCP, Teacher Certificate Program. So nag-18 units ako. Kung before, enough na yon for me to take board exam. Pag nag-take ako ng board exam, ika-categorize ako ni PRC na secondary teacher, major in, I have the option kung mag-major ako ng Filipino or mag-major ako ng English, since ang aking bachelor's degree is communication. So I have those 2 options na allied dun sa aking main degree program. Or let's say I'm a graduate of engineering and I intend to teach for high school and I wanted to pass the to take the board exam. So pwede ko rin gawin yun as long as I have the 18 units and I will be assigned, I'll be given an option. Actually, it's not an option pero dahil yun yung pinakamalapit na major na pwede mo consider sa'yo. So I'll be automatically considered as BS Ed major in mathematics. Mathematics. Okay, kasi engineering yung initial course mo. So that's the practice before. But because of this PRC Memorandum number 38 ng 2022, so aside from the 18 units, so non-education graduates are now also being required to take up 60 units of majorship. So ako na, kung ano yung 60 units na yon na major subjects ng mga uh, 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 secondary education, yung mga subject talaga na pang major ng mga BSED, no? So kailangan talagang i-take up 'yun. Halimbawa, ang majorship na tina-target mo is mathematics, magme-major in math ka sa board exam. So kailangan meron kang 60 units na mathematics specialization na galing doon sa curriculum mismo ng mga BSED major in math. Similarly, kung magme-major ka rin ng English, so kailangan may 60 units ka rin na major in specialization in English. And so far, based from what we've heard from some of the friends that we have in the field, parang nagkaroon ulit ng reconsideration. Kasi itong memorandum number 38 na to ng PRC, parang the way they see it, kasi when it was announced, actually itong recent March examination lang, parang ang dami nag-react. Even the review centers and yung mga magtitake nakapag-file na kasi nag-file na sila by December. Tapos bago mag-March, that was the only time that they were told na hindi pala kayo pwedeng mag-take ng board exam kasi nga you still lack 60 units. So parang the problem there is that may memorandum order kang ginawa and yet though yun nga hindi properly siya nag-communicate sa public, no? And that is why ayun, parang it creates problem and issues. Ang daming mga pinalampag na ng mga 18 unit earners, no, para sila makapag-continue sa pag-take ng exam ng last March. And yun nga, so there are certain legislators na parang nagsalita rin about the issue. Like for example, si Representative Act ng Act si Representative si Castro, Franz Castro. So I remember parang may pinadala siyang email na response dun sa mga students na ay sa mga unit earners na gusto mag-take ng board exam. However, may lumabas nga na resolution. So parang ayun nga, they are in support of the they're in support of those affected, no, ng mga unit orders kasi nga parang nanganganib sila na hindi matuloy sa pag-take ng board. On the other hand, may nagsalita rin na isang review center na kasi yung nilabas ni PRC na yon, specifically ng Board of Professional Teachers na yon na parang resolution or memorandum order, parang since we're following earlier nga na-mention natin yung legal hierarchy ng mga batas, parang lumalabas kasi na, ayun nga, what they're trying to do there is that, are they trying to tell us na mas mataas that resolution or memorandum order takes precedence over the RA 9293. So parang ganun yung issue sa part na yon. So you cannot impose something na because of that memorandum lang, parang to supersede what is mentioned or what was contained in the RA 9293. And that is why itong last March, so parang nung na-clarify na yung issue, na-clear na yung air, last March, itong recent na board examination, so the unit earners, the 18 unit earners na mga non-education graduate were eventually allowed to take the board exam. Even itong nakaschedule ngayong September, parang I heard that they are still allowed to still take the licensure exam. Kahit unit earners lang sila and they do not really have the 60 units. However, no, ang hindi lang malinaw pa is kung next year, kung ipupush pa rin ng Board of Professional Teachers yung resolution or yung memorandum order 38 na yon, kung magpupush through pa rin talaga na i-require na 60 units na kapag hindi ka edu, aside pa sa 18 units kapag hindi ka edu graduate. All right. So let's move on. So I guess that ends my discussion. I'd like to hear some questions. I'd like to accommodate your questions. However, this video is only recorded. So here are my reference. And we'll now proceed to my next topic, which is the CPD law. All right. But before I proceed on that, I don't know to some of you here, but if you've been to the PRC office there in Sampaloc, Manila, pag pumunta kayo sa window nila, ito yung isa sa mga post na makikita niyo. So, pursuant to Memorandum Order 98 Series of 2023, dated December 28, so pinakamalaki yung mababasa natin sa baba, nakalagay doon, no CPD, no renewal. Yan. So ang daming nag-react actually nito when it was first or when it was initially enacted dito sa bansa natin. No? But again, so nakalagay dito sa post nila, so starting January 1 for PRC resolution, there is a need to provide a transition period for CPD compliance as follow. Ayan. So may mga certain requirement na. So pagdating nitong 2024, magre-renew ka, so you need to have 15 units. Okay? This in spite of the previously executed CPD understanding. Kasi in the previous years, itong 2023, 22, 21, so parang nagkaroon pa ng undertaking between the PRC, the Board of Teachers, and who wish to renew their license. Na pwede ka muna kayo mag-undergo ng undertaking, although enforced na yung batas about CPD. Pero may undertaking tayo na, sige, the first time kayo magre-renew, so you're not yet required. All right. However, after this time of the year or after some time, so eventually you'll need to really to really provide CPD units. Okay, so naka-specify dito, so that's for 2024, 2025, 2026, and 27 onwards. I do not know your experiences when you try to renew your license, no? Pero in our case kasi, since we're already graduates of master's degree, actually it's already an equivalent of certain number of points, no? Pagdating sa CPD units. And later on, we will see that. Okay? All right, so let's now talk about continuing professional development law or the Republic Act number 10912. When this law was enacted, actually during the bill pa lang siya sa Senate and sa Congress, no? So ang dami ng reaction kasi nga nakikita na nila yung mga problems na pwedeng pagsimulan nito. No? Lahat naman yun eh. As we all know, I think we can all agree na lahat naman ng batas, if not regulated or not checked, no, talagang magiging subject for abuse. No? That is why mainit ito, lalo na ang magiging affected or ang mga affected dito or ang magiging involved dito ng mga individuals are those professionals. Okay? So anyway, let's go with the basic first. Yung mga basic natin na frequently asked question. Ano ba ang CPD law? CPD law. CPD law or RA 912 was enacted in 2016. It aims to ensure that professionals continually enhance their knowledge, skills, ethical values through post-licensure specialization or interdisciplinary studies. Kasi parang it was also during this time na ina-advocate natin, nag-start i-advocate sa education field, yung tinatawag na lifelong learning. Now, ang lifelong learning, of course, hindi lang naman siya about the learners, but of course, definitely for us teachers, na kailangan nating magpatuloy na matuto para mas patuloy nating ma-enhance, ma-develop, at mas ma-update tayo sa mga bagong nangyayari sa paligid. Okay? Republic, what is Republic Act? What is this all about? What is the CPD law all about? According here, otherwise known as the CPD law or CPD Act of 2016, it is an act which requires CPD or continuous professional development as a mandatory requirement for the renewal of your license, of our license. When it was implemented, it was implemented 2017, although it was enacted 2016, yung kanyang IRR or yung tinatawag na Implementing Rules and Regulation was only finalized or parang, yeah, it was only finalized noong March 2017 upon the effectivity of Resolution 1032 or the implementing rules and regulations of this particular CPD law. As you noticed here, parang although it was enacted in 2016, parang it still took a year, almost a year, no, bago pa eventually talaga siya na implement. Kasi nga again after it was approved, no, by our president, parang in-scrutinize, they further scrutinize the law pa kung paano nga ba siya i-implement sa mga professionals. Question: Are senior citizens exempted from CPD requirement? They're actually not. No? So the law does not provide any exemption from CPD compliance for renewal of professional identification card. Okay? How about the licensed professionals that are working overseas? According again to the CPD law, licensed professionals working overseas may attend training seminars conducted by foreign chapters and affiliates of accredited CPD providers. They may also attend training seminars conducted by non-accredited CPD providers and apply for credited units under self-directed learning or lifelong learning. By the way, so na-mention dito yung mga titawag na CPD providers. It's just so happened kasi that my boss, work to the school where I am currently working, si Dr. Clotilde and Arcangel, she's a former dean, by the way, of the UST College of Education. Currently, she's actually connected to the PRC, but specifically to the Board of Professional Teachers. Not as a member of the board, but rather as part of the team that checks ng mga applicants ng CPD provider. So ang ginagawa doon, so halimbawa school ka, gusto mo maging CPD provider, magkukonda ka ng seminar para yung mga ate ng seminar mo, you can provide with them CPD units or CPD points, no? So sila yung nag-check doon sa mga qualification ng mga schools na yon or organizations na yon that would like to become CPD providers. And according to her, yun nga, the requirements are quite strict, no? Para maging isang CPD provider. So there are a lot of requirements being checked and ayun nga, so as not to but to really ensure that the quality training is being given dun sa mga professionals na magpa-participate dun sa kanilang mga activities that would render CPD points. Okay? Isa pa, parang iniiwasan nila na, of course, dapat isang legitimate talaga na organization yun or institution yun, yung mga magpo-provide ng CPD points or yung mga CPD activities. Kasi again, iniiwasan na talaga medyo ma-abuse yung pagiging, kasi ito rin yung parang nakitang issue or parang nakitang threat, no, kapag na-implement na ang CPD na baka maging magkaroon ng mga issues about corruption, no, maging parang money-making venture siya, no. So that is why yung role nila Dean Arcangel is very important to really check kung atong mga organizations ba na to are really, really providing quality trainings or they really met the requirements set by the commission, by the commission, and of course by the Board of Professional Teachers. Okay? For us to further have an idea, ano ba yung mga points na pwede natin makuha, no, sa mga professional engagements na ginagawa natin? Here is a portion of the table that shows us ano ba yung mga activities that are covered by CPD, no? So if you can see at the left side of the table, so we have here being a participant, being a resource speaker, being a panelist or a reactor, facilitator or moderator, being a monitor, and being an inset sa mga public school teachers po natin dito. No? So yun ay mga under the coverage ng CPD. Okay, so may mga certain number points, and then ano yung mga supporting documents that are needed. So it's also there. Mostly mga certificate, no? Tsaka any documentation that would say or certify that you do really participated or that will really become part of that activity. Okay? Next. Ayan. So by the way, this first one, by the way, is the what we call professional track. So these are trainings, so these are activities that are offered by accredited CPD providers during face-to-face or online. So as I said, ito yung mga CPD providers, sila yung parang mga chine-check nila Dr. Arcangel. And ang validity nito, yung mga points na makuha dito is only good for 3 years. 3 years prior to renewal, so yun lang yung validity nila. So let's say mag-renew ka ng ngayon 2024, but you become a panelist or a actor noong 2020 during the pandemic, hindi na valid yun. Okay, kasi nga according here, 3 years prior lang yung validity niya. Okay po. Alright. Next is yung tinatawag na academic track. So earlier we have professional track. This one is academic track. Ito, dito na papasok yung ating naging pag-aaral na master's sa doctoral degree. No? So master's degree or equivalent, doctoral degree equivalent. So nire-require nila or kino-consider lang ni CPD kapag nag-apply tayo for renewal tapos ginamit natin yung master's natin, is yung full credit units for compliance period of the completion of degree. So, kailangan graduate ka ng degree. Hindi earned units lang. Okay? And ang requirement nila, certification from the university or diploma, and of course, the transcript of records that are both authenticated copies. Okay? For doctorate degree, and according here, full credit units upon completion or of candidacy for compliance period. So kung bawa candidate na tayo for the degree, no, of doctoral degree. So pwede na i-consider din 'yon. Additional full credit units for compliance period upon completion of degree. Kapag natapos pa yung degree mo, so may additional full credit unit pa yan. Okay? And ayan, so similar to the first one, so diploma and transcript of records that are both authenticated copies. Pwede rin, aside from the doctoral degree, so, by the way, no, so these two are valid for 5 years after you graduate. So let's say you finish your master's no 2022 or 2021. So 5 years time validity nun. We can only use that on or before 2026. Ayun. For our doctoral degree naman, kung ba gagraduate kayo next year, 2025, so it will only be valid for you to use it for your renewal until 2030. Next, medyo naulit lang dito, yung professional chair na tinatawag. No? So, you need, equivalent naman niya is professorial chair. Okay, halimbawa in a university, you were given the rank of a professor, no? Kasi as far as you know, no, I'm not sure, I'm not really familiar with it, no. Pero from what I know, sa mga university kasi, so may mga professorial ranking yan. So like for example, you start as instructor 1, instructor 2, parang sa landscape din ng public school teachers. So instructor 1 to 3, assistant professor 1 to 3, tapos associate professor 1 to 3, and then full professor 1, 2, and 3, such and so on and so forth, no? So equivalent din nun is 15 credit units per year. So again, ang documents na kailangan, certificate of grant or appointment paper, and ayan. All right, next. For academic track, ayan, ito pala yung mga equivalent na points niya, no? This is still under academic track, no? For fellowship grant. Fellowship grant, ano ba ito? Halimbawa, you were given, parang you become a participant or a resource speaker or a researcher for a certain fellowship. Ayan, so ito yung mga equivalent niya na points 2, 4, and 5. And again, ang requirement lang is yung mga certificate coming from those institutions where the fellowship was organized. And then we also have here, under again, academic track is yung postgraduate diploma. So maximum of 30 credit units lang yan for 18-month period or a fraction upon completion. Okay, ito naman yung self-directed learning. Ito yung mga trainings na kinuha natin doon sa mga non-accredited CPD providers. Okay, so again, ang validity lang nito is 3 years. Um, so again, we have here yung pagiging participant, pagiging resource speaker, pagiging panelist or reactor, in-service training, program training, module development, and technical paper. So basically, um, itong mga non-accredited CPD, if ever gagamitin natin siya na CPD points, no, kapag nag-renew tayo, usually dito yung medyo matagal na medyo mas matagal siya na proseso kasi nga since hindi CPD provider or non-accredited CPD provider yung training na pinuntahan mo. So i-evaluate pa nila yung merit nung institution or organization na nag-host no CPD training, no? I-evaluate pa nila if this can really be valid or not. No? Kasi baka for most of us here, no, baka mamaya we're only let's say for example, you're about to renew your license na and what you did is that you simply attend all the trainings that you can find online or all the trainings that your friends told you, no? Okay naman yon. However, you have to also to make sure para at least hindi na medyo tumagal yung procedure ng renewal natin. Doon ka na sa mga accredited talaga na CPD provider. Kung hindi naman sila CPD provider, again, pwede rin naman. Kaso, pagdating ng renewal mo, kapag i-evaluate pa nila, medyo matagal yung sabi nila Dr. Arcangel, sometimes it takes them some time, no, to evaluate kasi they would look for they would look for parang of course a lot of documentation compared to those that are accredited CPD providers, no. So like for example, ang mga requirement nila yung certificate of attendance, ilan yung number of hours, seminar program, list of participants, and sometimes they would even check. Ito yung isang factor din na nagpapatagal sa evaluation ng CPD provider training. Kung ano ba talaga, sino ba talaga ay para mga legitimate na institution or talagang nag-exist tong mga CPD activities na to. No? So medyo doon tumatagal minsan. Okay? Okay. So aside from the self-directed, so we also have, oh by the way, if you notice, no, yung mga sub-number natin, so we have, ayan, 3.7, next is 3.8. For those who are those have papers that are published, no? So may mga equivalent din yan for those articles published or sa mga refereed or naging peer-reviewed professional journals. Kapag ikaw ay isang author, so sa local, equivalent is 10 credit units. Kapag international naman, yung uh, research journal where your paper is published, 15 credit unit. For multiple authors, ayan, usually, dinidivide equally among them. So like for example, 10 kayo, 10, nagkaroon kayo ng published na paper na 10 sa local, so that's equivalent to 10 credit units, and then dalawa kayo na writer, co-author din sa papel na yan. So, tagpa 5 units lang kayo or 5 CPD points lang kayo. Okay? For peer reviewer naman, na-publish yung research mo and na-peer-reviewed siya. So, per article, it's an equivalent to 2 credit unit. Okay? So, yan. If I'm not mistaken, parang part ng diba po for those who have graduated, for those of us here na who took their master's degree in the Open University, PUP Open University rin. So parang, I remember it's part of the requirement that before you can claim or request for your transcript or records or diploma, na we are being required, no, to present our papers sa mga research congress. And in addition to that, of course, yung parang, though hindi naman talaga siya part ng requirement, pero nagiging na siya kapag nag-participate ka sa mga research journal, sometimes nagiging na rin na mapapublish din yung paper mo sa research journal na ipoproduce ng research congress na yun, no? So parang hitting two birds in one stone kasi nakapag-present ka na at the same time, nakapublish ka pa ng paper mo, no? And ayun, if I'm not mistaken, even sa doctoral, parang ganun din. So after we write our dissertation paper, I suppose parang ganun din siguro ang requirement that we'll be required to to present it, in research congress, and then yan for publication. Anyway, I think it is stipulated naman in the research manual or the guidelines or the student manuals of our university. Anyway, so copy of published ang requirement lang naman dito sa published articles or peer-reviewed na articles natin is yung copy mismo nung published article. And then yung table of contents, kung nandito talaga yung pangalan mo, nandito talaga yung title no paper mo, that talaga na-publish siya. Okay? The CPD activities for professional teachers is basically divided into two major areas. Which shall be complied within a compliance period after its full implementation of 2019. Okay. So, dalawa lang daw yung major areas sa atin, mga teachers, no? Major areas on ethics, and then the other one is professional development, no? So, ayan. So, for those two areas, yan, ang coverage area ng ethics is for ethics, values, and attitude, while the prop development is for the technical. And these are the equivalent CPD units or the CPD minimum CPD units. Yan. Okay, in 2024, ngayong taon na to, so patuloy pa rin ang pag-uusap tungkol sa mga ano ba ang dapat baguhin patungkol sa batas ng CPD. Ano ba ang mga pinropose base sa mga nagawa ng resolution or bill sa ating Kongreso at Senado? So the House of Representatives at the moment for this year 2024 have already approved House Bill number 7744, which seeks to amend CPD Act, and the notable changes included are the following. Ayan. Exempting newly licensed professionals from CPD requirements during their first renewal. Ayan. Next is yung mga OFW and senior citizen na hindi naman nagpa-practice ng kanilang profession. I-exempt na rin. Okay? Yung pag-allow din ng PRC to adjust the CPD compliance during emergency. So like for example, during the pandemic, so parang nakita yun ng ating mga legislator na i-adjust natin. So magkaroon tayo ng considerations pag mga gatong time of the year. Next, government agencies funding CPD compliance for their employees. Yan. Kailangan ng gobyerno na rin dapat ang nagpopondo sa kung ano mga CPD compliance or CPD activities na pinaparticipate ng kanilang mga empleyado. Providing free or cheaper training programs for licensed professional. Kasi nga nakita nila na baka lumabas dito yung issue ng pera-pera, pagkakitaan, CPD. Next is including in-service training for teachers as part of CPD. I'm not really sure about this kasi hindi po ako sa public. I only have some friends from the public na pumatin ng mga insets, but I'm not really familiar with it if these are really accredited by parang yung mga nag-organize or nag-host ng mga insets are accredited for CPD. So I'm not really sure about this one. But based on this House Bill 7744, so isa siya sa mga pinapropose na mangyari. And, ayan, introduction of mandatory paid leave credits for CPD compliance. Paid leave credits for CPD compliance. I think we all understand what does it say now. And lastly, setting the required CPD credit units up at 45 every 4 years. No? So parang gusto mo mangyari, limit lang natin sa 45, huwag na natin dagdagan. Kasi dun sa original na parang kailangan mag-level up siya, no? Habang nagko-continue sa pag-practice sa profession mo. So basically, these are the proposed changes, no? For the CPD law based on the House Bill number 7744. Why were amendments proposed? Though may idea na tayo about this, no? Sabi dito, it faces a lot of criticism, specifically in the aspect of finance and logistical burdens on professional. Sa logistical burden, let's say for example, kasi kapag nasa province ka, or very far-flung area, very remote yung area mo. So medyo burden siya on the part of the teacher kasi they need to travel, they need to look for, institutions or organizations na nag-o-offer ng mga CPD units, no? And ayun, malaking burden yan for the professional. Kumbaga, gusto mo lang i-practice yung profession mo, maling yung license mo. And yet, because of the CPD law, parang nagkaroon pa ng additional burden on your part. Amendments aim to address these important concerns while maintaining the importance of continuous professional development. No? Kaya na-suggest or na-propose yung mga bagay na yun earlier. Key issues. Ano ba yung mga key issues na nakikita natin sa CPD? Actually, I'll be presenting them all of you. Alam na natin ito, exorbitant fees, masyadong mahal na mga seminar fees, no? Thousands of pesos yung bayad, difficult requirements processes. Lalo na, again, kung hindi CPD accredited yung na-attendan na seminar, hindi sila accredited ng PRC or ng Board of Teachers. Lack of accrediting training provider. Sabi ko nga, napakahigpit ng pag-apply, halimbawa school ka or may organization ka, napakahigpit ng mga requirements nila. So may mga hanapin kasi mga article of incorporation, updated ng mga general information ng set registration mo, mga ganung bagay. Accessibility issue. So minsan, ayun nga, malalalayo yung venue. No? Although right now naman, because of the pandemic, talagang na-open na yung konsepto of online participation sa mga ganitong klaseng mga CPD activities. The quality of CPD programs, ito yung na-mention ko earlier na chine-check nila Dr. Arcangel, kung ito bang mga providers na to are really legitimate professional organizations. No? Kasi nga, ayun, how can we really ensure na, kasi baka mamaya maganda lang yung title, maganda lang yung title ng event, ng name ng activity or ng CPD seminar, no? Pero pagdating naman doon sa actual na seminar mismo, sino ba yung speaker? Ano yung credential niya? Are they really qualified to really give this kind of trainings dito sa mga professionals na a-attend? So yun yung issue about the quality of CPD programs. Next is, again, psychological burden. Kasi alam naman natin, I don't need to explain or elaborate this. Ang dami na natin ginagawa as teachers. Ang dami na natin tinatrabaho in the school. And then, to add on it, itong requirement, additional requirement pa. So parang it's a psychological burden na kailangan na, parang ang bigat pa kung idadagdag pa. Okay? And then, that is why, ayan, there are these proposed amendments to include exemptions and to provide cheaper or siguro free na mga CPD seminars or trainings available. Okay? And I think that ends my discussion. I'm sorry, it's mostly para 54, 55 minutes na itong naging report ko. But thank you so much for bearing with me. And I'd like to end my discussion on this quotation given by William Butler Yeats. He said that education, he uses a metaphor, education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Basically, this quote emphasizes that education is not merely about accumulating knowledge. Ipon lang tayo ng ipon ng information and knowledge and all. Hindi lang siya basta good. But it's actually more on igniting the passion for learning, for self-improvement. And similarly to CPD law, it encourages our professionals, us professionals, to, of course, continuously seek knowledge and refine their skills, refine our skills, and stay updated in our fields. Kumbaga, maganda ang intention why CPD is in the first place was made into a law. No? At yun nga yung gusto niya mangyari. Ito yung mga bagay na na-mention ko kanina. And ayun, I think, as I said, it's really also part of the advocacy and the lifelong learning na Hindi porke tapos na tayo ng doctoral, tapos ka ng master's of God, licensed teacher ka na, it doesn't mean na parang that's already enough, that you should already stop. No. Kasi sinasabi nga nila na once a teacher, you're forever a student. No? It's a continuous learning. Meron at meron tayong bago na matututunan sa araw-araw. And itong mga natututunan natin to, hopefully, magamit natin for us to really become part of the nation building, of building, uh, citizens that will eventually or significantly contributes, no, to the development of our country. And that ends my discussion, my report this morning. Thank you so much for listening. I like to accommodate all your questions, but I'm not really sure how my internet is during this time. That's why I prepared this recorded video. Thank you so much. Magandang umaga at maraming salamat po.